Hi everyone, a very good evening to all of you. Please let me know whether my audio and video is clear so that we can have the class in a smooth and continuous manner without any disruption. Good evening, Hema, Krishnanjana. You were attending the YouTube class also, right, Krishnanjana? I have not seen you in this class very frequently, in this 9 p.m. class. Good evening, Sureka, Vibhuti. Now we guys are going to meet on a daily basis, and I thought you guys must have not seen that your class is scheduled as of now, because your classes were usually scheduled from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday only, and now they are scheduled on a daily basis. So we are going. Okay, okay. You saw, है ना? That is why I messaged on Telegram कि नहीं देखा है तो just join the class, है ना? We're going to meet on Saturday, Sunday also. Yes, classes are every day now, even on Saturday, Sunday, 1st Jan as well. Okay. Right, so we will try to finish everything by 13th January, the economics part. We're going to meet again on around 23rd, 24th, I think, your environmental issues wala part. We're going to take a break in between. Krishna, acha, you have a lot of pending. No. See, that's the great thing, Krishna Anjana. Just complete what we are doing as of now. Attend the live sessions, and whenever you have time, complete the other classes which are pending. Okay, Krishna Anjana, that's the best way, because a live में interaction is quite different as compared to your recorded ones. है ना? Fine. So our topic for today is balance of payments. Now, before I begin, I want you to tell me that what do you understand by BOP? What do you understand by balance of payments? What do you guys know about this? Then we are going to talk about this topic in detail. Okay? Let me see what do you guys understand about balance of payments. This is very, very important. Understanding BOP is very important from your exam point of view, for understanding the newspaper, for understanding the budget, for understanding international related transactions, to understand international economics and how our trade with other countries work. That is why BOP is very important. Vibhuti is saying it is the record of transactions with the rest of the world. Okay. Statement of transactions, record of all monetary transactions between nations. Between nations, if I have to talk about the trade between China and US, will that be mentioned in our balance of payments? Hema? If I talk about trade between China and US, will that be included in BOP? Yes, between India and other nations, absolutely correct. है ना? So balance of payment. See, when we are in our own domestic territory, when we are in the domestic territory, the transactions are there between states and UTs, between different UTs, between different states. That is recorded. That is recorded, and we know that it is recorded. And it is easier to record such transactions which is within the country only. It's very easy to record such kind of transactions. But if our transactions are happening with rest of the world, say with US, with China, with Australia, with Canada, with New Zealand, all that also has to be recorded somewhere, na? We have to write down all those transactions somewhere. Otherwise, whatever transaction is happening, we will not get to know how much we are earning, how much we are importing from outside, how much we are exporting to the other countries. We have to maintain a record to keep a track on what is happening. Whether our imports are more or whether our exports are more, how will we get to know if we maintain such records? That means in the written form we have to maintain the record. So when we are conducting transactions, when trade is happening between the domestic country, when transactions are happening of the domestic territory with the rest of the world, we record those transactions in the balance of payments. So balance of payments is basically an account. जैसे we have accounting in India, है ना? Accounts में are transaction. For example, you are a business. You're into a business, and वहाँ पे you also record everything in your ledger. You record everything in your account, है ना? Debit, credit side, है ना? You add everything, something on the debit side, something on the credit side. You add all of that to keep a track. How is your business performing? how much you are earning, how much profit you are earning, how much cost you are incurring. Similarly, balance of payments is also an account. Okay, it is an account which records the transactions of a country, with the rest of the world. तो यहाँ पे भी we have similar, जैसे we have accounting in our particular business, similar to that we have accounting for international transactions also. We have debit side, we have credit side. So both debit and credit side पे we add our whatever we are incurring, the cost, the whatever we are earning, everything is mentioned in the account. Okay, it is known as balance of payment. So whenever we talk about international transactions, you might have heard of some things like BOP deficit, you might have heard something like BOP surplus, you might have heard something like trade deficit. Trade deficit. Achha, abhi there was this news that why US is putting in tariffs on so many countries. For example, US is putting up tariffs on India because the trade deficit of US is very high. Trade deficit of US is very high. What does it mean? That US is importing more from India than it is exporting, which is creating a deficit in the balance of payments of US. ठीक है? That is why US imposed tariffs on India to correct this deficit. है ना? So to understand these kind of news, to understand what is happening around the world, to understand what is happening between the countries, to understand how our transactions are happening with the rest of the world, we need to understand what balance of payments are. We need to understand different things under balance of payments. You might have heard of things like current account and a current account balance. You might have heard things about capital account. Actually, then there is this word known as convertibility of rupee. What is the meaning of convertibility of rupee? You might have heard of what is devaluation, what is revaluation, what is depreciation, what is appreciation. There are certain other terms like hard currency, dear currency, cheap currency. Such kind of words are used. So what these words are, that you need to know, that you need to understand in order to understand the news, in order to understand the current affairs also. So that is what we're going to cover in today's session. So when I talk about balance of payments, these are a statement. This is a statement or a record of all monetary transactions, monetary and economic transactions. That means we are recording in terms of money. What are we doing? We are recording in terms of money. So it is a record of all monetary and economic transactions which is made between a country and rest of the world. That too in a defined period. So we know in 1 year what are our transactions. That defined period is there. For example, when we study GDP also of a country, that is also for a particular year, for a defined period. For example, in that case, we have an accounting year. Similarly, यहाँ पे भी we have to record our BOP for a defined period. ठीक है? So basically whatever our countries individuals हो गए, companies हो गया, government bodies हो गया, all of these when they are transacting with some other countries individuals, with other countries companies, with other countries government bodies, all that is recorded under the balance of payments. ठीक है? It indicates whether there is a surplus, whether there is a deficit in the economy. Accordingly, then we can make changes. Then let's talk about the structure of balance of payments. What is the structure of balance of payments? Okay. Wait, let me just have one more page over here, a blank page. Just give me 1 second, okay? So we are going to talk about the structure of BOP now. Okay? Now, if I talk about the structure, then there are two types of accounts under BOP. One is your current account and the other is your capital account. Okay, current account and capital account. Can anybody tell me what is the difference between these two accounts? What do you think is the difference? Read the word and then think. Current account and capital account. What do you think is the difference between the two? Remember we were talking about revenue budget and capital budget when we were doing your FRBM wala part, or we were doing this fiscal policy and public finance wala part. Then we did something like revenue budget and capital budget. Similar on those lines only, try to make the distinction between current account and capital account. Hema is saying current account is of current transactions. Current account holds business transactions, Sureka is saying. Anybody else? Anybody else? In current account, no change in asset liability, day-to-day transactions. Very good, Vibhuti. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Okay. See the word here, we have current account. Jaise we have revenue budget na? है ना? Similar to that, we have current account. So all the recurring kind of transactions. What? All the recurring transactions which are happening on a daily basis, which are happening on a repetitive basis, right? They're happening on a day-to-day basis. There is no change. There is no change in the assets and liabilities. There is no change in the assets and liabilities of the country. Such kind of transactions are recorded in the current account. Can anyone give me any example related to current account transactions? I have given you all the characteristics of current account transactions. Can anybody give me example ki what can be current account transactions? Then if I talk about capital account transactions, these are not very, very recurring in nature. These definitely lead to a change in the asset as well as asset or liabilities of the country. Such kind of transactions are known as capital account transactions. Usually these are long term in nature. I want you guys to give me examples, if you can think of any examples under current account transactions and capital account transactions. Current account is used for business transaction. That is something else, Souvik. That is something else. वो हो गया different, Souvik जो आप कह रहे हैं, you are talking about for the businessmen. जैसे we have savings account, जैसे we have credit card and all है ना, savings account and your current account, वो दूसरे वाला current account है. That is for the businessmen. वो we are not talking about that current account. We are talking under the balance of payment structure. What is your current and what is your capital account? So current account is like the revenue budget we did. Recurring things. है ना? Recurring transactions. Capital account is like capital budget that we did. Long term, which leads to change in asset and liabilities. Capital account refers to capital flow. In capital account, there is change in asset and liability. Very good, Vibhuti. Wages, salaries, goods trade, trade of goods, capital loan given to other nation. Vibhuti, very good. Buying machinery and land, capital account. So basically, if I have to import, एक second. If I have to import and export goods and services, this is on a recurring basis. On a daily basis, we are importing and exporting goods and all. On a daily basis, we are doing that, है ना? So that comes under current account. अच्छा, if I receive remittances, I have my sibling there in Canada, for example, and that sibling sends remittances to me in India. These are also known as unilateral transactions, or these are also known as one-sided transactions. These are also known as transfer payments. Now this is just like the money is being sent to me, but foreign se money aa rahi hai, so that has to be recorded somewhere. So current account mein we can add remittances. There is no creation of asset or liability. I don't have to return anything in exchange of this. So current account mein remittances aa gaye, transfer payments aa gaye, right? Then if I talk about capital account transactions, for example, loan, I have taken up loan from IMF or World Bank or from any central bank, any central bank of any other country. I might take a loan. In that case, this becomes a liability. है ना? For example, if I am getting FDI, FPI, I am getting FII inside of the country, I am getting foreign strategic capital in the country. People are investing in my country, in short. So, investment is an asset for me. So, that comes under my capital account. It is making up long term changes in the economy. Okay? Fine. Acha, one thing you have to keep in mind over here. I am going to ask you this question. For example, I have taken 20,000 rupees loan from 20,000 crore rupees loan from IMF. For example, okay? Along with this money, I also have to pay interest. I also have to pay interest. Okay? So can anybody tell me that all of say interest cumulative interest बन गया 100 crores का. So I have to pay 20,000 loan, है ना? And I also have to pay this interest. ठीक है? Now my question to all of you is, the question that I have for all of you over here is that these transactions, this 20,000 crore loan and this interest, where will this be recorded? In your current account or your capital account? For example, I have taken up 20,000 rupees loan from IMF and I have to pay interest of 100 crore on that. So this will be recorded in which account? Current account or capital account? Will any one of this be recorded in current account or capital account? Will any of these be recorded only in capital account or only in current account? Vibhuti is saying that this will be recorded in the capital account. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Loan will be recorded in current account. Hema is saying. Krishnanjana is saying capital account. Sureka is saying interest in current and 20,000 in capital account. Very good, Sureka. Sureka is saying that interest will be recorded in the current account. That is exactly and absolutely correct over here. So, who gave this answer to me? Sureka. Sureka gave this answer to me that loan of 20,000 crore will be recorded in the capital account, but this 100 crore interest, this interest payment will be recorded in the current account. Now my question is why? Why will the interest be recorded? Why will the interest be recorded in the current account? Acha, Hema is saying interest in current account. Typing mistake. Okay. Chalo Hema, you give me the reason as to why interest payment will be a part of the current account. Why interest payment will be part of current account? Anybody? Because interest is paid at regular intervals, interest is the liability, interest is recurring in nature, so paid regularly. Absolutely correct. देखो interest payment से is ownership being changed? Is ownership being changed? Is this interest particularly creating any liability or asset? Is it creating any liability or asset? No, na? Plus this is recurring in nature. This is something extra that you are paying. It's like a transfer payment that you are doing, you know. So loan wala amount will be coming in your capital account, but the interest payment part will come under your current account. This is a very important distinction that you have to remember. Clear, everyone? Okay, now let's take a look at the details of this current account and capital account. Okay, so current account balance includes export and import of goods and services. ठीक है, गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज का इंपोर्ट एंड एक्सपोर्ट. Receiving or paying of interest. So I basically tried to explain you this wala concept. Why receiving or paying of interest? Profits, dividends, unilateral receipts. Unilateral receipts are like transfer payments, है ना? The transfer payments that I receive. For example, we have remittances, है ना? Remittances that we receive. So there are three components under your current account. One is your balance of visible trade. Visible trade matlab tangible trade. That means we are basically talking about merchandise, basically talking about goods. So balance of visible trade, trade in goods. Balance of invisible trade. Invisible trade is intangible. So we are basically talking about services over here. Then interest, dividends, profits, unilateral payments, all these are part of the current account balance. Clear? Then we have capital account balance. Let me add a sheet over here also. Just give me 1 second because I need to explain a few more very, very important terms to all of you over here. That is why I need some space. I need a sheet over here. Okay? Okay. Then we have capital account balance here. Okay, what is capital account? Which leads to a change in the assets and liabilities of a nation. है ना? It involves inflows and outflows of investments, money coming in, money going out in the form of investments, whether it's short term, medium term, long term borrowings or lendings. All these are part of your capital account. Okay. Here I want to make a distinction. I want to explain to you that what do you mean by foreign direct investment? We have foreign portfolio investment. We have foreign institutional investment. And there is one more word, foreign strategic capital. There are 4 terms that I have used over here. Okay, 4 terms I have used over here, and I want you guys to tell me what is the difference between these. What is the difference between FDI, which is also known as foreign direct investment? Okay, on one hand I have foreign portfolio investment. Then I have foreign institutional investment. And there is new term. Usually I don't discuss this term, but this was in new. So if you were following my live mint analysis in the previous 10-15 days, we discussed about this term known as foreign strategic capital. And if you guys were attending my live mint analysis, we have actually seen the difference between all of these terms. So I have mentioned 4 terms over here: FDI, FPI, FII, and FSC. I want you guys to give me the difference between the same. FDI, investment by foreigners in assets. Sureka is saying. FII, investment in stocks. Okay. Anybody else? Foreign direct investment is an investment made by an entity in one country into a company or enterprise in another country. Okay. Then what about other terms that I've mentioned? FPI, stocks and bonds are purchased by foreign residents. Okay, Hema. Hema, you have, I just remember, you have also sent me your homework on my mail, right? I have to check it also. Okay, I'll just check it. Okay? If sometimes, I delay, just, on that mail only, just send me a reminder. Okay, Hema. I will check it out. I think Vibhuti has also sent me your FRBM related homework. है ना? तो ऊपर से I had seen, but I did not get time to check. I'll check it and give it to you. Acha, so anybody else? FDI for investment by taking ownership control, FPI in stocks, bonds, FI institution in pension, mutual and all. Okay. Chalo, let's try and understand each of these terms one by one. Let's take clarity on this. This is very, very important. Okay. When I talk about foreign direct investment, I am basically talking about bringing in investment which is usually for a long period of time, long term kind of investment. The word direct is mentioned over here. That means the investment which is made, it is just not in money terms, but along with that, you bring in machinery, you bring in tools, and you have active involvement in the in the company. You have decision making powers, you have voting rights in the company, you are involved in day to day activities, you're involved in day to day activities. That means you play an active role, you play an active role in the company, in the decision making and all. Usually the investment, as if it is FDI, it is usually more than 10%. So it's like you invest in the assets of the company. And this is usually long term in nature, because taking out machinery, tools and all is usually very difficult to take it back. If it is only in money terms, it's easier to take your money back. But FDI is kind of long term investment. So you have proper interest. So more than 10% is considered as foreign direct investment. Clear hai? Then if I talk about foreign portfolio investment, these are usually short term investments. These are also known as hot money flows. Why are these known as hot money flows? Because these are volatile in nature. Here you usually invest in the stocks, bonds and all, basically in the securities. You invest in securities. You do not have no direct involvement in the business. You do not bring any kind of machinery, any kind of tool. You do not have no active decision making power over here. Usually your investment is less than 10% in the company. And whenever you want, you can take out your money. Whenever you want, you can invest in that company. That is why these are considered as hot money flows, because you are very volatile to changes. Zara sa change you can take out your money. FPI. So these are also known as quick investments. These are also known as what? Quick investments. है ना? Foreign portfolio investment. Then we have the term as foreign institutional investment. Institutional investment is very, very similar to foreign portfolio investment. The only difference is that in case of FII, an institution is investing. In case of portfolio investment, person or an individual is investing. And in case of foreign institutional investment, an entire institution is investing. That is your foreign institutional investment. Then we have your very, very new kind of a term, you can say. This usually we do not study a lot. This is known as foreign strategic capital. This was in news, this was in the current affair, I took it up in the live mint analysis also. Okay, live mint analysis also. Now if you see the word strategic is here. See, if you talk about this FDI, FPI or FII, the major motive of FDI, FPI, FII is profit. That you want to earn more profit. But in case of your FSC, the motive for investment is not profit. It is not profit. Motive of investment is to use the natural resources in that particular, for example, to use natural resources of that particular area. That means you have a strategic interest. You have a strategic interest in the country. If US wants to, for example, US company wants to bring in investment in India, but not for profit motive, but because there is a strategic interest, because of the resources which are available only in India, or maybe to capture the market, or maybe to understand the market dynamics. That means all other reasons except for profit motive, that is known as foreign strategic capital. That means there is some strategic importance. There is some strategic importance of that country, and that is why you are bringing in that amount, that amount of capital inside of that country. Here I am giving you a homework, everyone. There is a homework that I have for you. The homework is that you are going to check whether this foreign strategic capital is closely related to FDI, or is it closely related to FPI or FII. How much investment? Is it more than 10% investment in case of foreign strategic capital, less than 10% investment? What is the criteria? This is your homework that you need to check. Yes, market access and acquiring the resources. Sureka is asking, is it good for a country if we allow FSC? That is what the question was. That is what the question was. When I was taking the live mint analysis, I discussed this thing that now RBI is very much open to FSC. Abhi tak we were not very much open to FSC, but currently now RBI is open to bringing in foreign strategic capital. This is again your homework. Check out my live mint analysis. Check out the news related to this FSC. That why has RBI allowed FSC now? Is it good or bad? You have to talk about the pros and cons of FSC. Will you do that? This is your homework. Okay, Sureka? This is RBI is liberal for FSC. Exactly. This was the news, Hena Vibhuti. I think you remember we had taken up this class. Of course, it affects the country. Of course, it affects the country. But we had discussed about this in the live mint analysis. So I want you guys to first read about it and then we can discuss in class. Okay? Let us have different opinion. Let us read about it. I'm going to let you guys read about it. Check out live mint analysis. Check out maybe that news that I was talking about, or just surf the internet. Okay? Read about it and then we are going to discuss it in class. Fine. So I hope that the differences between FDI, FPI, FII and FSC is clear to all of you. It is very important to understand such terms. Why did I explain this? Because FSC was in news. FSC was in news, so you need to know what is FDI, FPI and FII also. Fine. So these are the types of investments. Achha, apart from this, there are other two types of investments also. You might have heard of such terms: greenfield investment and brownfield investment. Can anybody tell me what is the difference between these two words, greenfield investment and brownfield investment? Any idea what is the difference between greenfield and brownfield investment? Nobody has an idea? See, greenfield investments are those kind of investments which are done in any kind of new venture or new project. But if you are investing in an existing project, that is considered as brownfield investment. Okay? So these are again other two types of investment. I hope this is clear. Achha, then capital account transactions are also divided into autonomous capital transactions and accommodating capital transactions. Autonomous, whenever we have the word autonomous, it means independent. Okay, so here autonomous capital transactions, see what happens is when we have current account. For example, in case of current account, our imports are more than exports. In this case, there is a deficit. In this case, there is a deficit. That means there is a gap over here. To fill this gap, what are we going to do? Our imports are more. That means, but exports are less. That means we need more money for imports. So what do we do? How do we fill up this gap? By borrowing. And borrowing is part of what? Borrowing is part of capital account. So if we want to cover up this deficit, if our investment, or if our changes, or if our money requirements, or I would say, if any kind of decision is taken up to cover up such a gap, then those kind of transactions are considered as accommodating capital transactions. What are these transactions? That because there is a deficit or a surplus in the balance of payment account, so to correct this deficit, we are doing a particular transaction. Such kind of transactions are known as accommodating capital transactions. But if our transactions are not due to any kind of deficit or surplus, कि हम ये इसीलिए नहीं कर रहे, if we are not doing these transactions because there is a deficit or surplus, such kind of transactions are known as autonomous capital transactions. For example, India wants to invest in US bonds, and the government wants to invest in US bonds, and it is not doing this investment because there is a deficit or surplus. Deficit, surplus, jo marzi ho raha ho, I don't care, India doesn't care, it is just investing in US bonds. That kind of transactions are known as autonomous capital transactions, and accommodating transactions which are deliberately done to correct the deficit or surplus. ठीक है? That is done to create a deficit or surplus. Because of these accommodating transactions only, we use the word balance of payments. We use the word balance of payments. If you see here, the word is BOP, balance of payments. Why balance of payments? Why written balance? Because whenever there is a deficit, whenever there is going to be a deficit, that is going to be covered up by the other account. For example, capital account. If there is any kind of deficit in current account, that will be covered up by capital account. Plus, why it is known as balance of payments? Because you are recording all those transactions in the account. So we have debit side, we have credit side, that we are putting up all our transactions. है ना? ठीक है? So that is why it is always in balance. Why it is in balance? For to understand that, we also need to understand the other components of BOP, which is foreign exchange reserves and errors and omissions. So foreign exchange reserves, whatever currencies that we have, say US dollar we have, euro we have, all that is also recorded in your BOP. And there is another term called errors and omissions. So like I told you that in an accounting sense, your balance of payments is always in balance. Why? Because I told you that there is a credit side, there is a debit side. For example, we have transactions over here. यहाँ पे we have 90,000 and यहाँ पे we have 80,000. है ना? That means there is a deficit of 10,000 over here. So वो 10,000 we'll add as errors and omissions, and their debit will be equal to your credit side, and that is why your BOP is always in balance. ठीक है? And also whenever there is a deficit, that is covered up by a surplus in the other account. That is why BOP is always in balance. This question was asked by one of my students in the SEBI batch. ठीक है? SEBI batch में somebody had asked me this question, that BOP में why are we using the word balance here? We are using the word balance of payments here because it is in the accounting sense, it is always going to be in balance. Remember, I have used the word accounting sense. So whenever there is a deficit or surplus, तो वो हम cover up कर देते हैं by adding errors and omissions. Investing on an already existing company is brownfield, and greenfield new construction, brownfield existing building. Yes, Vibhuti, है ना? So all these are the components of BOP. ठीक है? All these are components of BOP. Current account balance, capital account balance. I hope the difference is clear. Capital account balance में greenfield investment, brownfield investment, FDI, FPI, FII, FSC. I hope all of these are clear. Foreign exchange reserves, errors and omissions. If you have understood this, then that means most of your portion of BOP is complete. ठीक है? Okay everyone, I hope this is clear to all of you. So current account, capital account, BOP, absolutely correct, Krishnanjana. Why is it always imbalanced, ma'am? Arey, not imbalanced, not always imbalanced. It can be balanced also. It can be balanced also. It can be imbalanced also. It is not always imbalanced. Sometimes sometimes there is a surplus. Sometimes there is a deficit. Most of the times BOP is in deficit only. If you see, most of the time BOP is in deficit, and that happens in any kind of business also. Businesses, maybe usually what happens is you are you know there's always there's never a balance between both sides of the accounts. Usually it is not always in balance, है ना? It can be in balance, it can be balanced also, it can be imbalanced also, Sureka. So it's not like it is always imbalanced only. ठीक है Sureka? Mostly what happens is that governments, they usually import more than they export. अब ऐसा नहीं है that with every country we will have a deficit only. For example, with US, India has a surplus, but with China India has a deficit. तो ऐसा भी होता है कि with some countries we have deficit, with some countries we have surplus. तो ये चलता रहता है, okay? ये चलता रहता है, ठीक है? It goes on. Then let's understand, before we understand the types of exchange rate, I want you to tell me, what do you mean by a foreign exchange market? What is the meaning of foreign exchange market? What is the meaning of a foreign exchange market? Anybody? What do you mean by a foreign exchange market? See, a market is where buyers and sellers meet in order to exchange. It can be exchange of goods, it can be exchange of services, it can be exchange of money, it can be exchange of currencies, है ना? The rate at which our currency can be exchanged with the foreign currency, that is exchange rate. Krishnanjana, that is exchange rate. I am simply asking, what is forex market? Foreign exchange market is a place where buyers and sellers, they meet to exchange one currency with the other, है ना? अच्छा, if we exchange one currency for the other currency, then at what rate are we going to exchange one currency for the other? For example, you might have seen $1 is equal to 50 rupees, $1 is equal to 60 rupees, ऐसे करके you might have seen. So the rate at which one currency is exchanged for another currency, one currency when it is exchanged for another currency is known as exchange rate. Okay, there are two terms over here that I want you to make a distinction of. One is your exchange rate and the other is your effective exchange rate. Any idea what is the difference between the two? Exchange rate, what am I saying? $1 is equal to 100 rupees, for example. That means, what am I saying? How my currency, at what rate one currency is exchanged for another currency. At what rate one currency is exchanged for another currency is known as your exchange rate. There's another term known as effective exchange rate. Any idea? Market where currency is traded is your foreign exchange market. Very good, Sureka. It's a global marketplace. Foreign exchange rate. Krishnanjana. So exchange rate is the rate at which one currency is exchanged for another currency. What is effective exchange rate then? Effective exchange rate is the rate at which one currency is exchanged with respect to other currencies. Currencies, a basket of currencies. In case of effective exchange rate, what am I doing? In case of effective exchange rate, what am I seeing? Ki my rupee, how is it performing against the dollar? How is it performing against the euro? How is it performing against yen? How is it performing against yuan? How is it performing against pound sterling? So, what am I doing? Whatever my trading partners are, whoever my trading partners are, I am checking the performance of my currency with respect to many other currencies. In case of exchange rate, I am checking my performance, the performance of my currency with respect to just one currency, which can be either a US dollar or a euro or any other currency. So in case of simple exchange rate, I am seeing how my rupee is performing against the dollar. Bus. That means one-on-one relationship I am seeing in case of exchange rate. Effective exchange rate में पहले I'm going to see how my currency is performing against the dollar. Then I'm going to say अच्छा अब dollar के साथ तो ये performance है. How am I going to how is my currency going to perform with respect to euro? That is then I'm going to check that. Then how is my currency performing against yen or against yuan or against pound? I'm going to see all together how my currency is performing against different currencies. You remember this year only when your rupee was depreciating against the dollar, if you guys are following the news, Nirmala Sitharaman ji, our finance minister, she made a statement ki bhaiya, our rupee is not depreciating against the dollar. No, it is not our rupee which is depreciating against the dollar. It is rather dollar which is appreciating against the rupee. Why? Because when I was seeing my currency performance with respect to euro, yen, yuan, etc., then my currency was not depreciating. My currency is only depreciating against the dollar. That means dollar is appreciating because my performance with respect to other currencies is stable. Why only with respect to US dollar it is depreciating? So when I see my currency's performance with respect to different currencies, then that is known as effective exchange rate. But if I see my performance in isolation with only one currency, that is known as exchange rate. Not like an average. It's like an average performance. I can say average performance. है ना? Hema, like an average performance, I would say. ठीक है? Performance on an average how it is, but not like average calculation, not that way. ठीक है? An effective exchange rate measures a country's overall strength by averaging its value against a basket of other currencies. है ना? तो average, Hema, in the sense हमारी average performance, our average performance with respect to our other currencies. Okay? So the performance of domestic currency compared to others. Exactly, Krishnanjan. Absolutely correct. Our performance with respect to different currencies. So एक तो we can see in isolation how we are performing. एक we are seeing with everybody how is our performance. So that gives us a more holistic view as to what is our performance at the international level. That is our effective exchange rate. Then you might have heard the two terms real exchange rate and nominal exchange rate. These two terms. So you will see these terms. Nominal exchange rate, real exchange rate, या फिर nominal effective exchange rate और real effective exchange rate. So what is the difference between nominal and real? The same difference that we saw between nominal GDP and real GDP, the same difference is going to be between nominal exchange rate and real exchange rate, or nominal effective exchange rate or real effective exchange rate. Can anybody tell me what is the difference between the two? Between nominal and real? Nobody knows the difference between nominal and real. Inflation is adjusted in very good. So in case of, if I talk about nominal exchange rate or nominal effective exchange rate, in that case, inflation we are not adjusting. Real is basically nominal minus inflation. Now, why do we subtract inflation? See, if I talk about India, inflation rate might be 6% and in US inflation rate might be 5%. So there is a difference of 1%. This has to be adjusted to get the real scenario, and that kind of exchange rate is known as real exchange rate or real effective exchange rate. ठीक है? So I hope that difference between exchange rate and effective exchange rate is clear. Difference between nominal exchange rate, real exchange rate, nominal effective exchange rate, real effective exchange rate. I hope this is clear to all of you. ठीक है? Then we have purchasing power parity. Can anybody tell me that what is purchasing power parity? Inflation is adjusted in real. Krishnanjana is saying real is calculated according to base year in GDP. हाँ, GDP तो बस यहाँ पे भी when you're adjusting for inflation, that is known as your nominal exchange rate. That is known as real exchange rate. When you're not adjusting for inflation, that is known as nominal exchange rate. ठीक है? So nominal minus inflation, real. ठीक है? What is purchasing power parity? Anybody? Ratio of price levels in different countries. वो तो फिर ठीक है. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else? So let's try and understand this also with a very easy example. See, on one side I have US and on one side I have India. ठीक है? यहाँ पे I have drawn a basket. Same basket I have drawn over here also. The size of basket, अभी तो size थोड़ा छोटा लग रहा है इधर, but the size is supposed to be same. Size is supposed to be same over here in both of these countries. Size of this basket. ठीक है? I have drawn this basket over here. There are 10 items in this basket and there are 10 items in this basket. These items are identical, exactly same. These are exactly same item. The quantity, the quality, everything is same. ठीक है? I am paying $10 in US for these 10 items and I am paying 100 rupees for these 10 items in India. So this is basically reflecting my purchasing power. What is this reflecting? My purchasing power in two different countries. So when I equate my purchasing power for the same basket of goods in both these countries, when I equate this, then I get my exchange rate in PPP terms. So in this case, $1 is equal to 10 rupees is my exchange rate in terms of purchasing power parity, where what I'm trying to equate is the purchasing power between two different currencies. Fine. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to equalize the purchasing power of different currencies. Now PPP is also of two types. One is absolute PPP. Absolute PPP is like your nominal exchange rate, nominal value, where inflation is not adjusted. Relative PPP is like real GDP, where your inflation is adjusted. Okay? So to compare GDP, labor productivity, consumption, cost of living between different currencies, PPP is used. So purchasing power parity, what am I doing? I'm trying to equate the purchasing power between two different countries and then calculating the exchange rate. Ratio of price levels in different countries, purchasing power of a basket of goods with basket of goods in another country. Very good, Sureka. Purchasing power of countries is equated. Yes, Krishnanjana. PPP is value of goods one can buy with different currencies. The chocolate that you can buy in India versus the same chocolate, how much you have to pay in dollars for that same. Rupees and dollar are at parity if they can buy the same things. Exactly. Ayushi, Vibhuti, Krishnanjana, Sureka, absolutely correct. That is your PPP. Okay? Now we have done exchange rate. What is exchange rate? Now, who determines this $1 is equal to 100 rupees or 10 rupees? Who determines this? We're not talking about PPP. PPP, we are equating the purchasing power. But $1 is equal to 100 rupees, 90 rupees, 95 rupees. Who decides it? है ना? So there are exchange rate systems which can be divided into fixed exchange rate system, flexible exchange rate system, managed floating exchange rate system. Before I discuss it with you, can anybody tell me what is the difference between fixed exchange rate system, flexible exchange rate system, and managed floating system of exchange rate? Any idea, anyone? What is the difference between these three? What is the difference between these three? Anyone? Fixed, flexible, managed floating system of exchange rate. And another question. In India, we follow which kind of exchange rate? Fixed exchange rate system, flexible exchange rate system, or managed floating system of exchange rate? What do we follow in India? Sureka is saying no idea. What about others? Try to understand the meaning. Fixed. Fixed से क्या मतलब होगा? The literal meaning of the word. Krishnanjana is saying fixed, fixed by the country. Okay. What about flexible then? Flexible changes according to market value. Okay. Anybody else? I guess managed floating is followed in India. Absolutely correct, Sureka. You have no idea related to all of this, but managed floating is calculated, followed in India. That is absolutely correct. Flexible exchange rate system determined by demand and supply. Very good, Hema. Fixed government tied currency rate, flexible according to demand and supply, managed floating according to market forces with government intervention. Absolutely correct. Vibhuti, very good. Hema, Sureka, absolutely correct. देखो, in case of fixed exchange rate system, the exchange rate that $1 is equal to 100, this is fixed by the government. It is fixed by the government. कितना रहेगा? So it won't fluctuate. It is fixed by the government. ठीक है? In case of flexible exchange rate system, it is not fixed by anyone. We leave everything to the market forces of demand and supply. जैसे demand होगी, supply होगी, accordingly they are going to equate, and accordingly exchange rate is going to be determined. That means here there is no government intervention, no government role here. So this is based on demand and supply theory. Managed floating is the third kind of system. If you see here, both words, managed is also there, floating is also there. Floating means flexible. So under managed floating system of exchange rate, we usually leave everything to the market forces of demand and supply, but wherever required, wherever necessary, when there are very, very volatile situations, in that case, government is going to intervene to stabilize the exchange rate. For example, when rupee was depreciating against the dollar, then RBI intervened to defend the rupee. This was in news. You know? This was in news. To defend the rupee, RBI intervened. So what is that? Usually RBI does not intervene. Usually the government does not intervene. But wherever necessary, then we are going to manage it. So India may we follow this managed system of exchange rate. Okay? So fixed way government is fixing. And government is going to fix according to what? There must be a parameter based on which government is going to fix the exchange rate. So there can be two variants under your fixed exchange rate system. One is your gold standard system of exchange rate, gold standard system of fixed exchange rate, Bretton Woods system of exchange rate. Now, in case of gold standard, I need to have another sheet over here. Give me 1 second. Let me add a sheet here. Okay? 1 second. Let me add a sheet over here. Okay. So there are under your fixed exchange rate system, there are two variants. One is your gold standard and the other is your Bretton Woods. Okay? In case of gold standard system of fixed exchange rate, the government is basically pegging the value with gold. For example, to buy 1 gram of gold, say 10 US dollars are utilized. And to buy the same 1 gram of gold, 100 rupees are needed. Now in this case, we are pegging the value with 1 gram of gold. So what is going to be the exchange rate? $10 is equal to 100 rupees. $1 is equal to 10 rupees is going to be the exchange rate in that case. Okay? But later on, this gold standard system had failed. This system had failed because there was not enough gold to back up the currencies. So gold standard failed. Then came the Bretton Woods system. You remember in 1944, वैसे we've not done it, but we're going to do 1944 में there were two institutions formed. है ना, known as the Bretton Woods twins. If you guys know, can anybody tell me which are the Bretton Woods twins? Which two organizations are known as Bretton Woods twins which were formed in 1944? Anybody? Very good. While Bretton Woods Conference, IMF and World Bank. Very good, Vibhuti. है ना, मेरे बोलने से पहले Vibhuti has given me the answer. Very good. So World Bank and IMF were formed during this Bretton Woods conference, and during this period only we adopted the Bretton Woods system of exchange rate. We adopted the Bretton Woods system of exchange rate, wherein we are not going to peg the value with gold. We are going to peg the value with dollar, because at that point of time dollar was very, very dominant. For how? For example, for 1 US dollar, 100 rupees are required and 10 euros are required. ठीक है? 10 euros are required and 100 rupees are required to buy 1 US dollar. So what is going to be the exchange rate between rupee and euro? What is going to be the exchange rate? 10 euro is equal to 100 rupees. That means 1 euro is equal to 10 rupees. This is going to be the exchange rate between India and euro, between rupee and euro. So here what we are doing, we are pegging the value with US dollar. But later on, this system, Bretton Woods system, also failed because dollar was not able to back up the currencies. Dollar was not able to back up the currency. So 1971 ke around, dollar also failed. And during this period, dollar was performing very poorly. So इसी time पे IMF brought in its own SDR also. We are going to do about this. अभी just remember this. Because at this point of time, dollar was not performing well. इसीलिए IMF bought an alternative to dollar, the special drawing rights. अभी याद रखना, when we do your IMF and World Bank, then we are going to understand this in detail. ठीक है? SDRs, special drawing rights. ठीक है? So these are the two kinds of systems of exchange. These are the two types of fixed exchange rate system: gold standard and Bretton Woods system. ठीक है? Fine. I hope this is clear. So fixed exchange rate system, flexible exchange rate system, managed floating system of exchange rate. Okay, everyone. Clear? Are these three systems of exchange rate clear to all of you? Then we have this concept of convertibility of rupee. Can anybody tell me what must be the meaning of convertibility of rupee? Any idea what is convertibility of rupee? Any idea what is the meaning of convertibility of rupee? Any idea what is the meaning of convertibility of rupee? What do you understand by convertibility of rupee? Converting rupee into dollar, freedom to convert domestic currency to other currencies. Very good, Krishnanjana Sureka. Absolutely correct. है ना? So convertibility of rupee means how easily can one currency be converted into another currency? How easily can you convert one currency into another currency? अब देखो, I talked about two accounts ना. One was your current account in BOP and the second one was your capital account under BOP, है ना? We talked about this current account and capital account under balance of payments. So current account matlab how easily, under current account what am I saying? How easily can I convert rupee into dollars? Say I want to import, for example, I want to import clothes from US. So how easily I can use my rupees? I can go to a bank or an exchange to convert this rupee into dollars so that I am able to buy clothes. So how easily can I? Do I need permission? How much of money can I convert? Is there a limit or not? That is current account convertibility. ठीक है? अच्छा, for example, I want to invest somewhere outside, or for example, I have a company A and I want to bring in FDI in my country, foreign direct investment, that is part of capital account, na? So how easily can I bring in FDI in my company? 100% FDI can be brought in my company, or only 74% तक FDI can be brought in my company, or only 26% तक FDI, or only 50% तक FDI is allowed in my company. That is going to depend whether my company is belonging to which sector. And for example, this year in the insurance sector, the FDI's limit has been increased from 74% to 100%. That means only up to 74% FDI was allowed, and now up to 100% FDI is allowed. So how easily can one currency be converted into another currency to bring in FDI? अब FDI India में लाना, या फिर if I have to invest somewhere else, for example, I want to invest in a US company, I will have to convert rupees into dollars. Or someone else outside who wants to invest in my company, they will also have to exchange dollars into rupees. So how easily that can be converted, whether you need approval from RBI or not, up to how much limit can you invest? That comes under capital account convertibility. In India, if I talk about India scenario, in India there is complete current account convertibility. What does it mean? That if I have to import or export anything, in that case I can easily convert my rupees into dollars or any other currency. It is very easy in that case. But in case of capital account, if I want to bring in FDI and all, that is limited. So we have partial capital account convertibility in India. We have partial capital account convertibility in India. ठीक है? So what is India's scenario? Complete current account convertibility and partial capital account convertibility. अभी capital account में we have not completely allowed 100% in all sectors. कुछ sectors में 100% है, कुछ sectors में there is 74%. In some sectors there is 50%, 26%. So this is the difference between current account convertibility and capital account convertibility. Right? I am giving you a homework here. You are going to read about Tarapur Committee. ठीक है? Tarapur Committee is associated with this convertibility only. So Tarapur Committee had only recommended whether we should bring complete capital account convertibility, complete current account convertibility or not, or partial capital account complete current account convertibility. So this is your homework. You are going to read about the Tarapur Committee recommendations. ठीक है? Okay. Rupee can freely be converted in another currency. Converting Indian rupee to other currencies. FEMA restricts capital account, ma'am. Foreign exchange management, yes, that you can understand that way also. So FEMA is a law, Foreign Exchange Management Act, but that is a law which manages, FEMA manages the foreign exchange basically, है ना? So it can restrict capital account, but capital account means generally government only restricts, RBI only restricts, RBI only does not allow. ठीक है? RBI only does not allow due to strategic reasons. There are strategic reasons why capital account, complete capital account convertibility is not allowed. There are strategic reasons. This also you're going to read. This is also your homework. You're going to read why there is still not. Actually, if you read the Tarapur committee, so wahin pe it is going to be mentioned that why complete capital account convertibility is not yet allowed. There are certain strategic reasons because of it. Okay? So you are going to check that out. If you read the Tarapur committee recommendations, you will automatically understand this also. Okay? Okay, Vibhuti? Fine. So, if I have to understand the difference between capital account convertibility and current account convertibility, it implies freedom of currency conversion related to capital inflows and outflows, and this is related to your export and import of goods. Provides right to firms and residents to freely buy assets like equity, bonds, properties and all in case of capital account, and iske andar goods and services, remittances and all that. है ना? Capital account convertibility is complex. It is easy. Current account convertibility is easy. In case of India, full capital account convertibility, and in case of there is no full capital account convertibility. In case of current account, there is complete current account convertibility. ठीक है? Clear everyone? Fine. Apart from that, we have to understand depreciation, appreciation, and a few other terms, and we have to do a few MCQs. Okay, these terms we are going to do tomorrow because we are already short of time. Then we are going to do a few MCQs. Okay? Till here is everything clear to all of you. Tomorrow we have a very easy topic, which is agriculture and its features. So we will try and cover this leftover portion tomorrow because it's already 10:15, है ना? So I think we should end the session over here. I think सबको नींद भी आ रही होगी, right? You must be sleepy also. So what have we basically done in today's session? What BOP means? What is current account balance? What is the difference between current and capital account? ठीक है, capital account के अंदर difference between autonomous and accommodating capital transactions, greenfield and brownfield investment. What is FDI, FPI, FII, FSC? And we've understood so many extra things also. Then we talked about types of exchange rate, effective exchange rate, need, read, PPP, fixed, flexible, managed floating. We understood gold standard and Bretton Woods system. And now we discussed convertibility of rupee. Is everything clear, everyone? Please let me know in the comment section. Very good. Clear? ठीक है. So that is all from my side for today. Tomorrow we are going to cover the rest of the portion. Till then, thank you so much to all of you. And please do provide your feedback as well as rating if you guys have understood everything. Okay, do not forget to provide your feedback and rating. And we are going to meet up tomorrow at the same time at 9 p.m. and cover everything. Okay, we are going to cover everything else. Okay, Krishnanjana, Surekha, Ayushi, Vibhuti, Hima, Surekha. Good night, everyone. I will see you tomorrow. Okay? Bye.